Welcome to the HR Happy Hour Work Break. You are here with Trish and Steve. Hey, Steve Bose.
Hey, Trish, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am well, thank you.
I meant to tell you the other day, I like the painting behind you.
You do? All right.
Yes, it
What is
looks,
it? Oh,
it's
boats.
like, it's boats, right?
It is boats.
But it's not your painting, to be
It is
fair.
not my painting. It's Bob
It's not a
Ross, I
it's
think.
a rental painting. No, listen, I know that you like don't want to like necessarily disclose every single thing you do,
I'm at
but
an
I read an
undisclosed
article.
location. Yes.
Right. You're in an undisclosed location in Florida.
hmm
Fair? Okay. No, I read an article this morning and I thought of you and I wanted to ask your opinion because I think this is what you're doing. So, this whole article was about how people are moving to slow travel. Have you heard
Slow
this?
travel. I have not.
Okay, so I'm going to read it to you, just a quick little thing. It says,
Okay.
the idea started in the 1980s in Italy, actually, because people wanted to take more time when they went places and experience the
hmm
culture, etc. So, since the pandemic, though, it said people who are 50 and above have started practicing slow travel here in the
hmm
US. It emphasizes staying in one place long enough to personally connect with the local people, culture, food, music, etc.
Okay.
You stay, eat, and buy local. You don't
hmm
overschedule yourself on like activities. You focus on a cheaper trip, maybe not necessarily like a hot spot. You go to
Okay.
somewhere a little off the beaten path. You're looking for richer experiences,
Oh,
and
listen,
you
sure.
also go in off-peak months. So I don't know if
Yeah.
you have the off-peak month thing, but the rest of it kind of sounds like what you're doing. What do you think
Yeah.
about slow travel?
I think it's pretty cool. Yeah. I hadn't thought about that or heard of it specifically,
Mhm.
but yeah, it's kind of like a combination between that slow travel concept and then like the workation thing, which has been a thing, especially since the pandemic,
Yeah.
right? Because we have been working and intermixing, kind of doing some other things as well. And I would say it's probably off season though, because it's not super hot where I'm at. Like it's a little on the cool side, and it's been a little rainy, so weather hasn't been perfect, but still better than
Right.
snow that many parts of the country were experiencing. But
You're like a snowbird now. You've gone
I
from the
know
north down to the south in winter.
I want to keep going. I want to keep getting closer and closer to the equator. That's the goal.
Well, I think you can, but I think you should think about this. And I like how it's not even like a vacation, right? It's just slow travel. You're just
Right.
traveling,
hmm
living longer than a week, maybe somewhere, and experiencing all the things that local people do, which that's the fun of it, right? I mean, that's kind of a cool thing to be able to do.
Yeah, I think I've done a lot of that and definitely shopped locally, ate locally, but done all those things. In fact, even it was a little bit rainy. Trish, this is a good segue into something I know you were talking about or tweeting about, which was raining here the other day. So I went to the movies in a theater for the first time in
Ah,
ages and saw one of the top uh, Best Picture nominees, of which there are 10 this year. We're not going to list them all, but I did see
I think we should
Avatar.
list the best picture noms, don't you think?
I don't, well, okay, maybe if you have them in front of you. I don't have
I
all
do.
10 of them in front of me, but I did see Avatar in the theater a couple of days ago because it was raining here. Loved
Yeah.
it. Really did love it. I never saw the first Avatar though. Still, I've not seen
Oh,
it.
okay.
So there was a couple of bits of it. I didn't really know the backstory, but you probably didn't even really need much of the backstory to watch the second one. And
Right.
so I did see that. And then last night streamed Trish, another one of the movies, which was Everything Everywhere All at Once. I don't know if you've seen that one yet.
I'm about halfway through that one. It was just weird timing when I started it. I was too tired,
It's
but
weird.
good so far.
It's weird timing and a very weird movie as well. But
It's a weird movie.
and then I actually had seen a couple of the other ones already, so I'm already at four
You're at 4?
of the 10 I have seen.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm at
because
1, 2.
Top Gun is one of them as well. I'm pretty sure you saw that.
I'm at 4 as well, but it's not the same 4. All right, so
Okay,
can I list them? So
sure.
obviously, if you are watching this, whether live, hello to our live people that I can see out there, and feel free to tweet right now or comment, like if you've seen these, haven't seen these, don't want to see these, whatever. But obviously, we do the podcast episode in a few weeks, probably in about a month, of
Mhm.
Oscar movies, what our picks are, what's out there, what we think is going to win. Best Picture nominations, as you mentioned, Avatar, The Way of Water. The one that I mentioned the other day, and I couldn't remember all of the name, is Banshees of Inisherin with Colin
Okay.
Farrell. I'm just going to go out there and say I love it. Like, it's
Okay.
weird. It is weird. If you can get through the first 15 minutes where you're kind of like, what in the world's happening?
That's
So
like,
good.
honestly, that's
It's
like most of my personal relationships as well.
it's so good. Anyway, Elvis.
Mhm.
I've seen Elvis, which I think was on, is that Netflix? I think
I
Elvis
don't
is on Netflix.
know. I've not seen that one yet.
This one is on Netflix, All Quiet on the Western Front,
I
which
did
is
see that
supposed
one.
to be amazing.
Very good.
You mentioned Everything Everywhere All at Once. I believe that's Showtime,
Mhm.
right? The Fablemans, which is the Steven Spielberg movie. So I haven't seen that one. I'd love to hear what people think about it. I'm not a huge Michelle
Yeah, I've not
Williams
seen it yet.
fan.
Okay.
I'm not a
Mm.
Michelle Williams fan. I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know if I'm gonna
that's
like that one.
weird. Okay.
I know. Top Gun Maverick.
Excellent. Should win, in my opinion. But
Okay, quick side note, how is Tom Cruise not nominated for that?
I know it's a travesty,
I don't
honestly.
know. Okay.
Yeah.
And the last two I have to admit I hadn't heard of yet. So Triangle of Sadness and Women Talking.
Yeah, I don't know either of those, nor have seen
Yeah,
them. So I'll have to try to track those down.
we'll
Yeah.
track them down. So anyway, if you want to be able to follow along, so we've got about a month, right? To and there's, a whole bunch of documentaries and things like that. My pick for a documentary did not make it into the final 5 or so that are nominated, which is Wildcat on Amazon
Mm.
Prime. Still worth it. That's
Yeah, I
in
started
Trish's
that.
ranking, it's number 1.
I started that and I didn't get through all of it because I had to go out or something, but I'll have to circle back on it. And I don't have the documentary list in front of me. I do like to try to watch a few of the
I do
documentaries
too.
as well. So I'll try to get to that over the next few weeks. But yeah, I'm excited for Avatar and Top Gun. So those big, broad,
Yeah,
popular blockbuster type movies getting recognized, right? So it's good.
right.
And I did like All Quiet on the Western Front quite a bit too.
Oh, did you watch that?
I did. I've seen it.
Okay.
It's quite bloody. It's World War I trench warfare,
Right.
right? It's the book from whatever 80 years ago.
Right.
It's probably its
Which I
third or
kind
fourth,
of love, right? A modern take on an older book. I love that
yeah,
idea.
but really good. So yeah, I'm excited to do that. Trish, I had one more thing I want to mention really quick before we sign off for the
Sure.
day. Trish,
Yep.
everybody's heard about the layoffs, right? They're happening in technology
Everywhere.
companies, Amazon, Google, Wayfair, Spotify, apparently today, some layoffs. And why I don't like focusing on these stories because they're sad and they're also kind of not indicative, I think, of the broader job market or the economy. There was
Right.
one thing, a story I read about the Google layoffs. I thought that was kind of notable, Trish, and I'll just put it out there, which is this. Among the 10,000 plus folks, sadly, who were laid off at Google this past week or so, were 27, Trish,
Mhm.
in-house full-time massage therapists that Google was employing in California. 27 have been part of that layoff. So if the company has to cut costs, if they really
Mhm.
do, and it's arguable whether or not they really even needed to do this, it kind
Right.
of, on the one hand, makes sense to cut back on areas that are not quote unquote essential to the business, right? Which
Right.
you'd probably call these folks. Don't deserve to lose their jobs necessarily, but so to me, is that just an example though of like the excesses, in some of these technology companies that led them to having to make these cuts in the first place? Because I know they have a lot of employees out there, but 27 is a lot of full-time massage therapists to
Right.
have on staff. Like, I don't care how big the company is. How many people are getting massages at work? I would never do it, but
I
I don't know.
know.
I thought that was an interesting story.
Number one, I just want to say it is sad. Anytime anybody loses their job in a layoff, it's very difficult. I've been on the receiving end of that years
Yeah,
ago.
me too.
And then also I've been on the delivering end of that many times at many different companies of all different sizes, big and small.
Yeah.
I think that, for me, just generically, I would say it's indicative of a company that's being mismanaged. So, for example, when Twitter came in and Elon had to cut a bunch of people and everybody's kind of blaming him, you know what? A lot of times what happens is a new CEO comes in or someone comes in pretty high level, chairman of the board, whatever, and says, look, this company's not being managed properly,
Mhm.
right? And it's faltering and it's going to go under if we don't make some changes. And so I think that's what you're seeing. You're seeing companies that have really maybe expanded too quickly, or in areas that are just, kind of things that are nice to have versus the core business, right? And
Yeah.
so it could be a shift in leadership or whatnot. Layoffs are always hard. I mean, especially when you're talking about numbers like you're mentioning, right? Thousands and thousands of workers.
Mhm.
But a lot of times too, you're looking at uh, employees who are not, I'm not saying this for across the board, but a good number of employees that wind up being like early in a layoff are the people who have maybe had performance issues. Now,
Yeah,
could
you'd
be there are
say,
other
yeah.
jobs, but every company I've ever worked in, you're always taking out kind of the people that have those poor performance ratings, or they've had issues,
Mhm.
they've been written up for various behaviors, whatever, right? So that's kind of the first cut. Um, Obviously, if you're in the thousands, you're mismanaging your company at that
Or
point.
you're a massage therapist, and no matter
And
how
that's
good
a
or bad you
shame,
are,
right?
you're out.
That's a shame that they're not being utilized that way. But yeah, it is a perk. I'll tell you what, HR always takes cuts in companies. And that's why I think ever since, the last probably 2006, 2007, you've not seen HR departments grow back to where they had been before.
Mhm.
Right? Because everyone thinks like that's not essential, really. You need very few people to have it be essential. So yeah, it's a shame, but I think that's probably a sign of these large companies trying to get themselves back under control.
Yeah.
So, yeah, not always a bad thing to be laid off. And also, can I just say one more thing? This is to anybody who's been through a layoff, and you can like totally disagree if you want, but having been laid off, every person that I've ever laid off or been part of a layoff or personally, the thing that you get next is always better. 100%.
I'd say so.
100% of the time. I've
Mhm.
never known anyone, because I've always checked in on the people. If I went through a layoff of, say, 100 employees, I would check in on them, over the months afterward
Mhm.
and help them try and find something. And I mean, every single person would come back months later and say, I've even had thank you notes, honestly, from saying, like, hey, thanks for helping me find something even better.
Mhm.
So it is possible. Don't lose hope. It's horrible in the moment, and then you will most likely find something better. So. I don't know.
All
If
right.
I were a massage therapist, you know where I'd work?
Mm-mm.
I think I'd go on a cruise ship and work on a cruise ship for a while and see the world,
Okay. I like
right?
it.
So anyway. All right. Well, listen, hey, enjoy the rest of your slow travel. And I do think you should like think of it. I know you said you hadn't heard of it in that way, but like, yeah, think of it. Maybe next week you can kind of report in on one or two things you did that were truly local.
Okay.
Right? To where what's a really cool restaurant or type of food you had, or something you've never experienced, local drink maybe you've never heard of, and, yeah, report back. Or a local band. Go find a local band. Let us know what's up in Florida. All right. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining us, for the work break, and, gosh, what day of the week is this? Is this Monday? No,
Doesn't
what
matter.
is this, Wednesday? We will see you back here on Monday. How about that? Have a nice weekend, and we'll catch you later.